Have you ever been so caught up in your own storm after you've come out that you almost forgot somebody beside you who was drowning too? I think we all have. Because when you're hurting, when you're overwhelmed, when you're just trying to survive your own life, it becomes easy to put your head down and focus on one thing: getting yourself through it. Okay, and while sometimes that is absolutely necessary, sometimes you are in survival mode. Sometimes all you can do is pray. God, just get me through today. But here's what I've learned. At some point, God doesn't just bring you out of the storm. Sometimes he turns you around. And he'll show you somebody else still standing in the rain. And suddenly you realize he didn't only rescue you. He taught you. He taught you how to recognize someone who needs reaching. Galatians 6:2 says, carry each other's burdens, and in this way you will fulfill the law of Christ. Carry each other's burdens. That means sometimes faith looks like stopping long enough to notice. Notice the woman who's smiling but barely holding herself together. Notice the man who suddenly got quiet. Notice the friend who stopped showing up. Notice the person who keeps saying, I'm fine. Because you know what I'm fine can really mean. You've said it before. I've said it before. You know what it sounds like when someone is hurting but doesn't know how to ask for help. You know what it looks like when someone is trying to keep functioning while everything inside them feels like it's completely fallen apart. But maybe that's why God is bringing them across your path. Not because you have all the answers. Not because you're supposed to fix everything either. But because you recognize the storm. You stood in one before. See, sometimes God sends somebody who's already survived the wind to sit beside somebody who thinks the storm will never end. That is ministry. And sometimes ministry isn't a stage. It isn't a microphone. It isn't even a Bible study. Sometimes ministry is looking at someone and saying, I see you. I know that look. I know what that kind of pain feels like. And I'm not going to leave you standing here alone. Because sometimes we can become so focused on asking God, when are you going to calm my storm? That we miss the person beside us praying, God, please send somebody. And what if, just what if, you are that somebody? What if somebody's prayer for help is being answered through your willingness to notice them? What if the reason you keep feeling drawn to check on someone, to send the text, to make the phone call, to sit beside them, is simply God saying to you, go back in. Not because you belong in that darkness anymore, but because you know how dangerous it is to walk through it alone. And listen, going back, it doesn't mean carrying everybody. It doesn't mean becoming responsible for everybody's healing. Only Jesus can do that and save them. Only God can heal the places we cannot reach. But sometimes he lets us be the hand that grabs while he is pulling them out. And I wonder how many people around us are fighting storms we know nothing about. How many are sitting in church smiling? How many are sitting at work functioning? How many are posting pictures and laughing? How many are taking care of everyone else? While silently inside, they're wondering who's going to notice if they finally fall apart. Friend, I encourage you to look around, because sometimes God will interrupt your routine with somebody else's pain. And the question becomes, will we be too busy with our own lives to see them? Or will we remember what it felt like when we needed somebody? Because once you've been rescued, you start recognizing the sound of someone calling for help. Once you've lived through darkness, you recognize it in somebody else's eyes. And once God has shown you the way out, sometimes he whispers, turn around. Somebody's coming behind you. Mate, today your assignment isn't complicated. Maybe it's one text, one call, one prayer, one conversation, one moment where you stop and say, how are you really doing? Because sometimes the greatest thing you can do for somebody in a storm is to simply remind them, you're not standing here by yourself. And maybe that's the part of what God meant when he brought you out. Maybe he knew one day he would send you back in for somebody else. And this time, you would know exactly where to find them. Until next time, keep walking in grace. And remember, God isn't done writing your story. Bye-bye.